Future Talk.
This is Future Talk
with Omnial Saleh and Hani Balkis.
Decarbonizing the planet is one of the goals that many countries around the world have set for the year 2050. More specifically, right here in the UAE, we've always been one step forward, and this is a project that many Emirates right here in the UAE have already been embarking on, and the Emirate of Sharjah has always been one step ahead. So today we're talking about the latest project that the Sharjah Research, Technology and Innovation Park has revealed in cooperation with the American University of Sharjah. They are targeting the launch of an applied research ecosystem for sustainable energy solutions to develop new technologies to help generate green hydrogen. What is green hydrogen? Is it actually green? And what are the different properties that it owns? Speaking to us today is Dr. Mustafa Khamis as well as Dr. Mehmet Egilmez, who are both professors in the College of Arts and Sciences at the Department of Physics and Chemistry in the American University of Sharjah. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome to the show, professors. It's been a while since I've talked to a professor at university, but we're glad to have you guys on the show. Now, I want to ask you guys, what makes green hydrogen one of the most promising future-proof technologies?
Thank you, Hani. If you allow me to step in right now and try to give some idea why hydrogen is called green, and is it really green? Like what Omnia just mentioned a few seconds ago. And you know that hydrogen is considered as the alternative fuel for the present and the future. Mm-hmm. And it's decarbonizing the environment and the globe in general. Why? Because it has very low impact on our environment. It has no footprint on CO2. It's a clean source of energy. So it can be providing you with all what you need from energy point of view without polluting the environment. That's the green. Mm-hmm. Why it's green? Because usually hydrogen is colorless. Mm-hmm. Odorless, you can't smell it, you cannot even see it, you can't even feel it, but it's highly combustible, so it can burn easily. Okay, but scientists try to find out a way to distinguish the source of hydrogen, whether it's coming from polluting source or not, and based on that they gave them the color. For instance, when we talk about the green hydrogen, is hydrogen that is utilized from a source that does not utilize burning fossil fuel, does not produce any carbon. Mm-hmm. So that's why its generation does not invoke any global warming on the environment, no carbon dioxide footprint, and no global warming. Hence, it's called the green. And utilization of hydrogen too in our everyday need of energy, from transportation to factories and so on, is also can be burned, and the byproduct only is water. Mm-hmm. So the cycle is complete with zero liquid discharge. We are just utilizing the source of energy. Usually, utilization of energy is coming from sources. Now, there is also blue hydrogen. Have you heard of blue hydrogen?
No.
Blue hydrogen is coming from a process that utilizes, let's say, the steam treatment of methane that produce hydrogen and CO2. But the CO2 is captured, so it's not polluting. That's why it's called blue.
Okay.
But also, there is a gray hydrogen. Gray hydrogen that the hydrogen is not really captured at all. You see, so that's why CO2 will not be captured, and hence it will pollute the environment. We call it gray. So it's not really as good as green hydrogen. Now, if we go to turquoise hydrogen, is the one that coming from pyrolysis of methane, where we strip the hydrogen from the carbon and we obtain carbon solid and the hydrogen. If the carbon solid stay as carbon solid, it will be beneficial. If we are burning the carbon, then we are polluting the environment. And there is pink, there is yellow, and so on, if you are utilizing, nuclear power or other type of energy. But sustainable source of energy, renewable source of energy, always produce green hydrogen, utilizing what is called the solar cell or photovoltaics or electrolysis of water.
Absolutely.
And that's where we are coming in as a university to improve the method by which hydrogen generated, let's say, consumed and stored.
And that's going to be what we're going to be coming back to discuss after a very, very short break. We're going to be talking about a very interesting project that the American University of Sharjah is carrying out with the Sharjah Research and Technology and Innovation Park. Very, very short break. We'll be back with you. So send in your questions at 4215.
This is Future Talk.
Future Talk with Omnia Saleh and Hani Balkis.
Whenever we talk about liquid gold, everyone thinks of oil. But soon enough, this is going to change because hydrogen has been the talk of the town recently. It has been called the fuel of the future for decades, brings about lots of benefits. And today we're going to be talking exactly what those benefits are with Dr. Mustafa Khamis as well as Dr. Mehmet Egilmez, who are professors in the College of Arts and Sciences at the American University of Sharjah. Recently, the world has definitely been very excited about the benefits of green hydrogen, and more specifically, the Sharjah Research, Technology and Innovation Park, in cooperation with the American University of Sharjah, they have been working on a project that will bring the benefits of green hydrogen to life. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure having you guys on the show. Very good vibes right here on the show. And can you guys tell us a little bit more about the unique experiments and research that you and your team are currently working on to develop these low-cost technologies for the generation of green hydrogen?
Sure. So basically, what Dr. Mustafa made is like hydrogen is a great fuel, right? So we understood that. So it comes with a problem. The problem is you cannot find hydrogen pure in nature. So you have to find a way to separate it. Like, just it could be hydrocarbon. It could be like water, right? Water, as all we know, just it is H2O. So you have 2 units of hydrogen and 1 unit of oxygen there. So now the name green comes from the fact that how you do it. So can you do it in a clean way or in a relatively environmentally dirty way, right? So the green comes from the fact that you separate hydrogen from its compound, let's say take it as water, in a very, very clean way, right? So now our experiments in collaboration with Sharjah Research and Innovation Park is basically making this process very efficient and very cost effective. So how we do that is this process relies on a chemical concept which we call electrolysis, right? So basically you are separating hydrogen from the oxygen. So this requires some energy input. Obviously we understood that this is a green energy input, so that's why we call this a green hydrogen. So the important fact there is in the most effective way of doing that is basically having a catalytic activity going on there. So and the catalytic activity versus the surface area. So the best material to do that in a most effective and effective way is platinum. It's extremely expensive material. This is so far the available technology, right? So what we need to do this in a very, very sort of cost-effective way. So alternative electrodes needs to be used there. So you can use non-noble materials, right? We use a very, very sort of a novel technique called femtosecond laser nanostructuring. So we increase the surface area of materials from, let's say, 50 times to up to maybe 400 times. So this is equivalent of using a much larger container. So the efficiency increases as much as the surface area increases, right? But moreover, we bring new functionalities. So we can change the catalytic activity of a material, an ordinary material, bringing close to platinum. Right? So our research basically involves 30 up to 40 different materials, surface nanostructuring, and comparing it to traditional platinum based technologies, and improving the efficiency of hydrogen generation for fuel cells and or other hydrogen based technologies.
That's amazing. And, when we talk about generating green hydrogen, a very important question comes to mind, which is how is that excess energy stored? Because for the longest time, we've heard several misconceptions about using renewable energy. A lot of people say that the main drawback is that it relies on natural elements. But with green hydrogen, this is not really a main issue because we can always use electrolysis. We're not necessarily depending on the sun solely. So how is that excess energy from green hydrogen stored? And will it always be available for usage?
Well, can I answer this question?
Please go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so now when it comes to storage of hydrogen, and utilization of hydrogen. This is really very important topic. And that's remind me in the episode that happened back in 1937 when they first utilized hydrogen as a gas for transportation in the German, let's say, transportation power, and that balloon exploded because of friction. So you have to really, hydrogen is really dangerous. So you have to store it and utilize it in a very safe and nice way. Now, we have different options to store hydrogens. The first option is to store them as a gas in cylinders, and cylinders that are really can handle high pressures. And those cylinders can be transported to the source or the end users, where it could be utilized as source of energy for burning or as for fuel cells, as Dr. Mehmet mentioned a few seconds ago. Now, the second option is to liquefy hydrogen and make it liquid. And that's very expensive. You see, the temperature to turn hydrogen gas to liquid is around minus 254 degrees centigrade.
Wow.
It's around 14 Kelvin, something like this. Very low temperature. Liquid helium can be done at 4.2 Kelvin, minus 269. This one is, and myself, I worked with that, So it's really very nice way. So you store hydrogen as a liquid, and then you transport it there. Now, also, we have other, let's say, methods, which is part of the research that we will be investigating here, is to find solid adsorbents that can absorb hydrogen at high pressure. Release the pressure, hydrogen will come back to you and utilize it there. And it can be done in cars, transportation, planes, safely, and it can be utilized easily. In addition to storing hydrogen in e-fuels, fuels that be using hydrogen to generate them, زي ethanol, e-benzene, all of these are e-fuel that can be also generated. They will produce CO2, but the CO2 that's produced will break even with the generation. Hence, it's still, the hydrogen will be like a green hydrogen.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean,
to add to Dr. Mustafa's point, so the process, process doesn't come free. So the process of electrolysis comes with an input of energy, right? So therefore, it's not just happening by itself. So the plants can be designed in such a way, and an alternative way, just avoiding the minimum storage, so that you generate energy, right? The input electric energy that you put, you can regulate that you generate as much as you need for a certain network. So this is one, Dr. Mustafa's suggestions here are very valid. It's being applied. So there's a big challenge problem. It's a very ongoing problem in hydrogen storage, but also so for transformation is needed that you generate plants which you generate as much as you need.
I mean, we are looking, this, revolutionizing in a brand new way of, using this energy and this obviously sustainable energy. And we are looking at this being a very complex, process. So I wanted to ask, what kind of challenges that you guys have faced during this research project?
So the research is still going on. So the research by itself is a challenge, right? So basically, a proper research requires optimization, and also first of all you have to understand your problem, so where you're going to hold it, and just building up a sort of a reasonable scale setup, and you have to also validate your results, right? So you will always use references. So this process is very time consuming and requires a lot of manpower. So I mean, a daily life of a researcher is challenged, the word that describes. So every single step is a challenge. But what makes you happy is just you contribute, you got some results that you improve sort of this efficiency or the process. So after that challenging day, that's a good result.
Absolutely.
Actually, I might add something here, if you allow me. I would like to take this opportunity to thank His Highness Dr. Sultan bin Muhammad Al-Qasimi for his continuous support to AUS and his continuous support to the Sharjah Innovation Research Technology and Innovation Park for translating the scientific research into technology, into application. So we are closing the cycle between science, technology, and society, so that our foundations can be utilized in real life and make the life of people really good. So for his donation and his encouragement, we were able to get the best, the state-of-the-art instruments, like the femtosecond laser that Dr. Mehmet just mentioned. Femtosecond means very short duration, 10 to minus 15 seconds. Look, 0 or 15 0 before 1. So you are reaching that low, short duration of laser with high energy that make the structure useful. Without his Highness donation, we could not reach to this level of state-of-the-art equipment that we can compete to the whole world and bring this very high, powerful energy source to be used here in UAE.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And we want to thank both of you today for your tremendous efforts as well. It's been such a great show with both of you. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Mehmet and Dr. Mustafa.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Very much.
Our pleasure, actually.
Thank you, doctors. You know, it was, a blast from the past, sitting and having, this conversation with you guys. Brings me back, university memories.
Absolutely.
Great.
We are delighted. We are really delighted.
Thank you, guys.
We hope everyone got a chance to learn a little bit more about the power of green hydrogen. We're going to be taking a short break, but when we come back, we're talking all about how researchers are actually making very important usage out of our very own smartphone cameras to help us detect whether or not we have COVID-19.
If you liked this episode of Future Talk, drop a like and subscribe.
Pulse 95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.